Today in Luther's Kitchen, I'm making these sausage phyllo bites, which are awesome to serve at your next party. So to begin with, I am finely chopping some cremini mushrooms, about 1 pound. And now I'm going to remove the casings from 2 different types of sausage. So I'm using a mix of chicken Italian sausage and pork sausage. And I'm just getting all of that meat from the casings, and I'm going to begin to brown the meat with no oil on the stove, medium-high. Now that your sausage is on medium-high heat, it's really important that you break up the pieces. You want small bits of cooked brown sausage. So I'm using this tool that I made fun of when I first got it as a gift from my mom, but it is the greatest thing ever. And now that the sausage is browned, it's time to add in onions. I've chopped a medium brown onion, and I'm also going to drop in those mushrooms, all chopped. Let that cook until the onions are translucent. So this may take another 5 to 6 minutes depending on how hot your temperature is. Once that mixture has cooked, and notice I didn't put any oil in because the sausage has some fat, I'm gonna add some mascarpone. So that's Italian cream cheese. It's gonna give this a nice creamy flavor and texture. It's not as tangy as traditional American cream cheese. So I'm gonna put the whole 8-ounce tub in the pot. The heat is off, and this mixture is cooled just a little bit, not too much, and the heat of this is now gonna kind of melt the mascarpone, which is totally fine. So give it a good stir, add some salt and pepper, and always for some fresh color and flavor, add a little bit of chopped Italian flat leaf parsley. So this mixture is cooled for about 10 minutes. I'm going to now add in some panko, which are Japanese breadcrumbs, but you could use regular breadcrumbs, or you could take bread and put it in a food processor and just get tiny bread pieces. I'm also gonna add in an egg that's gonna bind the mixture together. And I'm just doing all this in one pot so I don't have to do any extra dishes. But if you're gonna do that, it's really important that you let the mixture cool before you drop in the egg, because you don't want the egg to scramble before it's had time to bake in the oven. I'm using phyllo dough. You could do this in puff pastry. I personally don't like puff pastry that much because it tends to be a little doughy. So I'm gonna use about 5 sheets of phyllo for each sausage log. And I'm using another one of my faves, which is a squirt bottle that's got olive oil in it. I can continually use the same bottle and save the environment. And what I'm doing is taking each sheet of phyllo, and you gotta work fast because phyllo dough dries out very quickly. And I'm just putting a sheet, spraying with olive oil, adding another sheet, spraying with olive oil. So there needs to be some kind of fat in between each layer. That's what keeps it very crispy when it bakes in the oven. You could put melted butter, but oh my God, that's so much fat. So we're gonna stick with olive oil, much better for you. And once all of that is sprayed, 5 sheets of it, and you can see some of my sheets are breaking, no big deal, nobody's gonna see it because I'm gonna roll this whole thing up. Then you're gonna put half of the filling, because I'm making 2 of these sausage logs. And you wanna make sure that the filling is as equal as you can. One of mine was a little thicker than the other, so you know, you gotta eyeball it, but try to get it as close to possible. And I'm only putting the filling on one side of the phyllo because I'm gonna roll it up, kind of like a jelly roll. So grab and really tighten it, bring it in towards you, continue to roll. I didn't even tighten up the sides. This is not like a burrito, don't worry, it doesn't ooze out. Then I'm gonna finish with the other half, make the second one. Once they're rolled, I'm gonna score them. So I'm using a serrated knife, and I'm doing it right on the baking sheet pan. I've got a piece of parchment paper underneath. If I was baking these right now, my oven would be preheated to 350. But the reason why you want to score them before they go in the oven is it makes it so easy to cut them once they're done, and they're going to be hot, and you don't want to like burn yourself and make a big mess in the kitchen. So cut them like almost halfway through. And then you're gonna brush the tops or spray the tops with a little more olive oil. Again, that's what browns it and crisps it in the oven. And to be honest, I actually put these in the freezer. I didn't bake them right away. And this is like my favorite part. You can pre-make all of this, get those logs in the freezer, wrap them in foil. I would freeze them first solid on the baking sheet pan. Once they're frozen, pop them off, wrap them in foil, then you can keep them in the freezer for a couple months. And when you need a quick and easy but very impressive appetizer, you pull it out, you bake it, and you serve. The day I decided to bake these, it was really hot outside, so I didn't want to heat up my whole house with the large oven. So I cut the log in half while it was still frozen and put it onto a small baking pan that I could put in my countertop oven. And after about 30 minutes, these have browned up nicely. So you can see they're a bit hot, that's why I'm using the tongs, and I'm just cutting them, and because I've scored them earlier, they're so easy to cut and put on a platter when they're turned on their side. These make a very filling, impressive, and most delicious appetizer. For this recipe and more, visit myclasscancook.com.